Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to can some carrots. This year in the garden, if you guys have watched the whole series, I planted Nantes. I usually do Nantes or Danver half-longs, so these are definitely ready to pick. Last year when I pulled the carrots, it was almost exactly 1 month later in the season, so this has just been a really good growing season. Looks like I got some real nice carrots this year. I've got a whole bunch more in there. I just only want to pull enough to do 9-pint jars because that's how many will fit in my canner, so I might have to pull a few more, but I'm going to get these washed up and see what we end up with. On these carrots now, I'm not going to can the tops. I have canned the tops before, but I might do it on a later batch. I think I probably got enough carrots there in the garden to do maybe 40 jars total, but this first batch I'm not going to. So I'm just going to go ahead and peel these and do it outside so I don't get the mess in the sink inside, and I can just throw it to the chickens, and then we'll get inside and get the canner going. Don't worry, Mr. Buck. I didn't forget about you. You guys are too little. Okay, now that all that's done, we're going to bring it inside, wash them up, get them cut up, get the jars heated up and the water and everything, and we'll start the canning process. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the jars in the oven at 240 degrees and just leave them in there for about 20 minutes or so. Kill any bacteria. I say it in every video. I don't think it's necessary when you're pressure canning, but I do it anyway so that everybody knows what they should do to do it properly. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to get a pot of boiling water. This will just be clear water. We have to pour this over the carrots once they're inside the jars. So we're going to get this filled up, put it on the stove, and get it boiling. Next thing, we're going to want to put about 2.5 inches of water in the pressure canner. Okay, we get that on there, get these turned on to high. And then we need one more little pan to put our lids in so they can get softened up. And this one here, I'm just going to put it on just a medium heat. This doesn't have to boil hard at all. You just want it to get warmed up to soften that little red part you see in there so that when you put it on the jar, it'll make a nice seal. So the next step is just to cut them up into whatever size chunks you want to put into the jar. If you can fit a whole one in there, you can can a whole one, but just cut them up. I just wanted to show you guys you can, like I said, can the carrot tops. I did these back in 2013. They kind of have, to me, a pine needly almost taste to them. Some people like them, I do. Other people can't stand them. So, but you can can the tops if you want to. It has a long canning processing time though. Now it's time to take our hot jars out of the oven. Okay, next up we're just going to fill up our jars. We want to fill them, we want to leave them about 1 inch from the top. We don't want to pack them too tight in there. Now that I got my 9 jars full, these I'll put in the fridge and we're going to can those up another time. Okay, so next up you've got the option if you want to add salt or not. You'd add a half of a teaspoon. For every pint, you'd add 1 teaspoon if it was a quart. You really don't need to add salt, it's only for taste, it's doing nothing for the preservation, but carrots are kind of boring as they are, so might as well add a little salt. Now we're going to add the boiling water, and again we want to put that in and leave 1 inch of headspace. The next thing we want to do is get rid of the air bubbles, and with carrots they're so hard and mine are big so they take up the space, it's hard to get a knife or anything down there, so I just like to kind of shake them and spin them and get those air bubbles out. After you do that, the ones that have a lot of bubbles of course are going to drop the water level, so a few of these, this one back here, this one here needs a little bit more water so I can get it back to just 1 inch from the top. After that's done, we're almost there. You got to wipe your rim. Make sure there's no salt or any chunks or anything on there. Now we're just going to take our hot lids, put them on top of the jar. After that, we're going to take our bands, we're going to put them on the jar until they stop, finger tight. Just give them a little bit more. Just like that. Okay, now they are ready to go into the canner. Try to situate them so the jars aren't really touching, if you can. After you get all the jars in the canner, the water usually stops boiling because the stuff that you have in the jars had cooled down. It's very important now to bring this back up to a boil and then let it sit in there and boil for at least 10 minutes to bring everything up to the right temperature. I find that it really helps a lot in the jar breakage not happening. And you know, you're always going to have something to break once in a while from a bad jar, but if you get that boiling temperature up and everything, it'll help a lot. So now we'll just sit and wait. Now everything has come back up to a boil, so I'm just going to let it do this for 10 minutes. Okay, well it's been about 15 minutes, so let's get the top on this. And now I'm just going to wait until this is blowing steam, which will take, 5 to 7 minutes till it's really blowing it. And then I'm going to let it sit there and blow steam for 10 minutes before I decide to put the weight on and cap it off. Meanwhile, while that's getting ready, I'm going to be making a homegrown, home-butchered pork roast on the charcoal tonight. Along with that, I'm going to have a few potatoes that are fresh from the garden, just pulled them out 3 days ago. Okay, this has been blowing steam for over 10 minutes now. I'm going to put my weight on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait. I'm going to leave it on high. I'm going to let it hit up to 10 pounds of pressure. When it hits 10 pounds of pressure, I'm going to turn this down, and on this stove I go just above the number 2, and it goes up to 10. And that'll let it go just about up to 11. It'll just kind of hover there. It's supposed to do it at 10 pounds. I'm about 1,000 feet above sea level here. I like to ride it right about 11. So when it gets there, then we're going to start the timer, and we're going to can us some carrots. Okay, so we just hit 10 pounds of pressure. I'm going to turn this down to just about 2. For pints, we have to put these in at 25 minutes. I always like to do a minute or 2 over, so I'm going to do 27. If it was quarts, we would have to do 30 minutes. Okay, now I'm just going to slide it off the heat after I shut that down. I'm going to let this come down in pressure all by itself. I'm not going to open anything up. And once the pressure drops to nothing and the little thing back here drops down, we'll open it up and we'll see what we ended up with. Alright, the pressure is all dropped down now. Always open the lid away from you because a lot of steam comes out. Okay everyone, well thanks a lot for watching. The carrots are done, and so is supper. I'll see you guys on the next video.